Okay, Dinah.
Be
Things would be
dangerous.
horrifying. All right,
Yep.
let's go.
Red alert.
Okay, Joy Reid claims DeSantis has turned Florida into a modern-day version of Jim Crow. She also
We could
attacked
trust
Georgia's
her.
new voting law as Jim Crow despite record turnout following its passage.
Okay, now I see it. Okay, just a little side note on. I was listening to the podcast for Louder with Crowder, and it basically said like she looks like the guy from the Fifth Element, Gary Oldman's character, and I was like, oh, I see it now. I totally see it.
Yeah.
If anybody's ever seen the Fifth Element, that Gary Oldman's character, whatever his name is, Zorg, I think his name is. Like he has like literally a plate, like some kind of a weird, like almost like a dinner, like a clear plastic dinner plate, across his forehead.
Yep.
And it covers half of his head, and I'm like, oh, now I see it.
It looks
She kind of
really
does look
weird.
like that, and he actually looks way better than she does. Like I will say.
Conquerworm, MSNBC has declared war on white people.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's, well, I mean that's been their.
It's been their mantra.
For like the longest time, anyway.
Straight white Christians just going at them.
So just to set this up, so Joy Reid is the most insufferable hag ever on cable TV.
Yeah,
cable
that's
TV
true.
news. But the thing is, she knows she will never get called out or fact checked or any backlash.
Because she's black.
Well, because she is an acceptable
And she's a Democrat.
Democrat. Yeah, she basically follows. She follows everything, and so she's on the good side, right? Now, she basically went on a little bit of a rant, little tirade, and she spouted off so many things that it's hard to keep track of them all. But so we're gonna I don't know, play the video and
then just react to its being horrifying.
Kind of react to some of the nonsense.
All right, let's go.
Go for it.
In tonight with Florida, which I would argue, even with Texas existing, has emerged as the modern state in this country that comes the closest to a modern-day version of Jim Crow. Now, just hear me out. If there is a state that better exemplifies the rot of MAGA Republican rule than the state of Florida that the governor has named in very Orwellian fashion, the free state of Florida, I honestly don't know where it is, don't know what it is. I mean, Florida has it all. A law banning gay people from declaring their existence at school.
Nope.
Teachers can actually get fired for it. A law against anti-racist policies at work, like you have to let the racism be in the workplace or else. Book bans and requirements for patriotic Christian education propaganda in public schools. And of course, a concerted effort to make it as hard as possible for anyone who might vote for the out-of-power party, the Democrats, #Black people, to vote or to have representative districts. Florida's Jim Crow Redux governor, Ron DeSantis, even has his own Office of Election Crimes.
What
Yikes.
a tool. Joy Reid is a giant piece. Like, I don't even know, like, if Joy Reid is actually featured by MSNBC as a legitimate, trusted news source, then you know that MSNBC is a garbage heap. It's a trash heap of, like, trash news. They're basically no better. Actually, I'd say that they're worse than the National Enquirer or the Star. Because you go to like the supermarket, you see the National Enquirer, you see the Star, and you know those are tabloids. And nobody trusts a tabloid. They just know, like, okay, they're going to publish whatever, and there's no accountability. Well, MSNBC is no different. They're pretty much the same as these totally, like, made up places. So let's cover some of the stuff that she said. So number one, she said that that you're going to get, like, that teachers are going to get jailed for, or trying to erase, like, gay people or whatever. In Florida, they're going to be jailed. Not even close. That what she's referring to is what they called, and Don't Say Gay bill, was really like nothing more than just parental rights and education. And the idea is that you should have age-appropriate education, and you should not incorporate sexual conversations or sexual in the classroom, which the left completely takes as you're targeting and destroying gay people. I'm like, this has been done ad nauseum. The fact that she just kind of spouts it off as if it's true is a perfect example of begging the question, where she just completely and totally assumes that this is just true, this is fact, but it's not. Nobody's getting fired in Florida for being gay in a classroom. You're going to get fired if you decide to make an entire like lesson or even to basically like do classroom instruction to 5-year-olds. That is not true at all. Do you want to take another one, Stephen, or do you want me to keep going?
Keep going.
All right, another one. The idea that anti-racist, bill that if racism, we let it go. This is so not true, because what happens is that they basically made it so that you cannot mandate anti-woke training or like woke training to public employees and all these kind of people who work there. The idea is that they were trying to to incorporate mandatory woke training in schools, in federal kind of in public places and private places. He basically made a law saying you can't do that. You cannot force people into woke training. And woke training is nothing more than telling people that, oh, by the way, you're white, you're so racist, and you should hate yourself, and you should bow down and kiss the feet of black people. That's what she's referring to as the let that racism happen. Like this is it's a very insidious type of thing. And then what they do is when you don't let them have their thing, they accuse you of promoting and keeping racism going. And then another claim that she makes is that they're banning books. Well, no, they're saying that that schools should have age appropriate books, and unfortunately, pornography and pornographic books should not be in schools. Yep. If anybody is guilty of banning books, it's the left that bans books like To Kill a Mockingbird or
Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss. Or Abigail Schreier's, what's it called?
The War in Our Daughters?
The War in Our Daughters. They want to ban that book.
Yep.
They also want to ban
Johnny the Walrus.
They want to ban all these books. The left, this is all projection. And then one final claim that she makes is that, oh my gosh, they want to destroy the black vote. Now, how are they doing that per se? They're creating voter ID laws, which basically means if you want to vote in an election, you need to have an ID. And the left, in their, bigotry of low expectations, they say well, you can't do that because black people can't vote then. Like, why not? Oh, because they can't get ID. Why not? Well, because it costs too much. Well, it's free. Well, because they can't get there because they don't have a car. Well, they can take a bus. Well, it's just really hard. And you're going to make it hard for them to really what they're doing.
It's all about trying to push the idea that black people need the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. And it's secretly because they believe that black people are less capable than whites or other groups. It's really, really disenfranchising and racist. It's awful. Yeah.
So this is what the left does is they keep it's the old mantra that, believe it or not, was originally propagated by Joseph Goebbels, who was the propaganda minister from the
Germany.
Nazi Party. Basically, he said if you say a lie, you repeat it enough, people will just believe it's true. And this is what MSNBC and Joy Reid is doing. She just keeps saying the lie over and over and over. This is why she'll say stupid things like "hands up, don't shoot," even though that's been proven wrong for ages now. She'll say something like that. She'll say that George Floyd died because of police brutality, which is extremely debatable. But again, all this kind of stuff. This is what MSNBC does. It's funny how modern news is no longer. They are literally nothing more than propaganda mills. Maybe in the past there might have been a little bit more news involved, but the news in the States as well as the news in Canada, you basically can't trust anything they say anymore. I don't know. What do you got, Stephen?
Oh yeah, especially of course in Canada, because in Canada the government funds most of our news, and they will never say anything that is explicitly going against or critiquing the reigning regime in power, which is of course the libs. But they'll critique to the nth degree Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives and the PPC and anyone who does not follow in their dogmatic viewpoints.
Yeah. And it kind of shows that this is why the left has a powerful tool at their disposal called the fact checkers. And the fact checkers will fact check on Facebook, they'll fact check on Twitter, they'll fact check on various places, and they use these fact checkers, these supposedly unbiased sources, which are completely not the case, to basically be like, well, the fact checkers called you wrong, so you're wrong. On the right, we do have fact checkers. You have people like Ben Shapiro. You have people like Latimer Crowder. You have Tim Cast IRL. You have what's his name, Dan Bongino. You have what is that guy?
You can go on for a while.
Project Veritas. Who's Project Veritas? Anyways, yeah, Project Veritas is a great example of another fact. Thankfully, there are people who are doing the hard work of making sure that if you want to be informed, you can be informed. They will provide you with the information, but it takes a little more work if you're a conservative. Now, again, that's why shows like this exist. We want to basically not only like read through the news, but gonna give it a little bit of analysis so that we know what the truth is. So yeah, I think that's all we got to say about Joey Reid this week. Steven's totally distracted, so I'm just gonna keep on going.
No, my wife came back and she gave me
Coke?
a couple sips from her
Zero.
Coke, and I was like, okay.
Oh, Coke Zero, what a lovely lady.
I know.
Come on, everyone, shout out Stephanie.
Yep.
The doting wife.
I know it's Coke Zero sugar.
That
Anyways, now let's move on to the news you may have missed to talk about the news that you may
Bring it
have
on,
missed.
Steven. Bring it on.
Indeed.